Many years ago, about 50 years ago, an old friend of mine was asked to start a yeshiva out of town, start a masifta. And he really didn't want to do it. He didn't think he was qualified to do it. He was a Talmud of No Yisrael of Rav Ruderman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. So he called his Rosh Yeshiva. He asked him what to do. And Rav Ruderman said, anyone who's a Menahel or a Rosh Yeshiva will never get out of Gehenna because you make mistakes. But anyone who has the ability to do it and does not do it, for sure will never get out of Gehenna. Every member of Klal Yisrael cannot look at himself or herself as just a yachid. I'm an individual. We're individuals who are part of a tzibur. We're part of a klal. At the end of the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu, the last day of his life, Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. All of you, all of Klal Yisrael, you're standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu to become members of the bris, of the covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then Moshe goes on to enumerate men, women, children, diggers of ditches, water drawers. And what's that telling us? My Rabbi Gedal Yeshua, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, always used to emphasize. Moshe Rabbeinu was telling Klal Yisrael, Atam nitzavim hayom kulchem, all of you, as a tzibur, also as individuals. Every single individual has a responsibility to himself, but also as part of the tzibur. We have an Achrayis. It's a responsibility. We're not just individual Jews. We're members of Klal Yisrael. We're members of the nation, and we have to contribute to the nation. Anybody who is able to do it, maybe will be in Gehenna for a while, but certainly will be in Gan Eden, because he'll have not only his personal schus, he'll have the schus of all of the individuals, the families, the children, the grandchildren, all the good that will emerge from that one person who was a Achrayis when he had to be. All that schus will belong to us in Olam Haba.
The story is told about the great Rosh Yeshiva of Shimon Shkop, author of the Shari Yosher, that at the end of his life, when he was old and sick, he still insisted on saying shir every day. And to prepare a shir takes a lot of effort. And then to say the shir really washed him out, until the Talmidim said, Rabbi, you're allowed to retire, you're allowed to take it easy. To which Rosh Shimon responded with a yesod that he develops in the introduction to his Sefer Shari Yosher. And that is, the Gemara says in Masechta Tanis, based on the pasuk that says, Aser ta'aser, Eis kol dvar zarech. It says, take meiser, take 10% off of your grain. But the Gemara is bothered by the double lashon. Why does it say aser ta'aser? What's aser? It should just say ta'aser. So the Gemara says, aser b'shvil shetis asher. You should give meiser, and by giving meiser, then you'll become rich. So you learn the Gemara, you think it's some kind of school, it's like wearing a red string around your wrist. But Rav Shimon said, no, it's not a skula, it's something which is very easy to understand. And it gives the following mashal. He says, let's say you have a multi-million-dollar business and you need someone to run the business. So you'll go to Harvard, to Wharton School of Business, and try to find the greatest masmid in the business school, the one who aced all his bechinas and really has tremendous promise to run a company. And you'll invite him to run your company. But you're not going to trust him with millions and millions of dollars of the business until you see that he's really able to do the job. It's not just book smarts. So you start him off with a little bit of money. And if he does a good job with that money, then you entrust him with some more money. And if he does a good job with that amount of money, then you'll entrust him with even more money. Until finally you'll entrust him with the whole company. It's the same thing. The Rabban Shalom gives us money, not just for ourselves. As the Chavos Avava says, there are three parts to your money. One is that which is for yourself, to take care of yourself. One is that which is to take care of your family. And the third is that which you're supposed to use for good causes, to support aniyim, to support yeshivas. And the Chavos Avos says very strongly, and if you don't use it for the right purposes, it will be for your wife's second husband, Maven Yavin. So, says the Gemara, if you get money from the Rebbe Shalom and use it properly, you give Meisers, the Rebbe Shalom sees that he can trust you with the money, so he gives you more money. And if he sees that you give Meiser on that, he can trust you with that, and he gives you more money until you become wealthy. So Rav Shimon said the same thing. Why is the Rebbe Shalom giving me life? Is the Rebbe Shalom giving me life so that I can just lie in my bed and read a book and sip martinis? The Rebbe Shalom is giving me life because he wants me to use that life. And the more I use that life properly for the Rebbe Shalom, the more life he'll give me. So you're telling me to relax so that I can preserve my strength and live a longer life. It's just the opposite. The more I take that Achrayis, the more I recognize that all the kochos, all the abilities that the Rebbe Shalom gives me, and all the money that the Rebbe Shalom gives me should be used for the Rebbe Shalom, the more of a chance that the Rebbe Shalom will keep on giving me that life, keep on giving me that money so that I can continue using it properly.
I've been asked to speak about the concept of Achrayis, which is translated as responsibility. We are at the time of Kabbalas HaTorah, we're at the time of receiving the Torah, and we need to realize that Torah is the greatest gift that mankind was given. We call it Zman Matan Torasenu, the time of the gifting. Matan is from the same Lashon as Matana, the gifting of our Torah. Hashem gave us, Klal Yisrael, a very special gift. And as my Rosh Hashiva Zechron Levracha, Rav Henoch Leibowitz often said, there is no privilege without responsibility. If we are privileged to have this tremendous gift of Torah that provides us with a blueprint for life, then we have a responsibility to live by it. We have a responsibility to follow what it requires of us. And Achrayis is a very broad subject. I remember hearing something very beautiful from Rabbi Ephraim Shapiro Shlita at a Naguda convention, where he used the word Achrayis itself to define the scope of that responsibility. And he begins with an Aleph. Aleph is the Anochi, it is the I. I need to be responsible to myself. Each of us needs to be responsible to ourselves to utilize all of the gifts that we were given, to recognize who we are and our capabilities and the greatness that lives within us, and to fulfill all that to the best of our ability. So that is the first Achrayis, is really to ourselves. The second, if you take the next letter, which is a ches, and you add it to the aleph, it becomes ach, it becomes a brother. It's our extended family, it's our siblings, it's our family. And there we find in the Torah, if your brother or a family member becomes poor, we have a responsibility to help them. We have a responsibility to give them support in any way that we possibly can. Take the next letter. That is the reish. Acher, others. We are responsible for all of Klal Yisrael. We are responsible to reach out to everyone, to help Klal Yisrael. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as you do yourself. So many of our mitzvahs are based on the concern and the relationship that we have with others. And of course, in the work that I do in the Chevra Kadisha, we find this responsibility so extensive to the point that a Kohen Gadol, who's not allowed to be metameh to his own family members, he's not allowed to go to the funeral of his own wife or children or parents, chas v'shalom. Nevertheless, if he finds a Jew that does not have anyone else to take care of them, that responsibility becomes his, and he has to be metameh to a meis mitzvah. The responsibility of others is at the next level. After that comes the yud, acharai, after me. The children that we leave behind, all of the things that will develop from the things that we put into place. We have a responsibility to put them in the best possible place. All the things that we need to do to transmit our legacy and our values to our children, and to put into place the things that will be after us, that they be in the best possible place, in the best possible situation. And last is acharav, after you. It's not only the things that you do directly, but it's the results of what we do that we are responsible for. If we put something, do not put a stumbling block in front of a blind man. When they fall, it's everything that derives from that becomes our responsibility. When we help someone, it's the reverse. When we help someone, we are responsible for all of the good things. We smile at someone, and that makes them feel good, and they go out and have a great day, and that begins a whole series of events that are positive. We are responsible, and we need to understand that. We need to understand that we are responsible for all of the things that we can bring about. But that in its totality creates Achrayis. But it begins with the Aleph. It begins with that Anochi, with us. As the Mesilas Yesharim says in the beginning of his Sefer, the responsibility that we have is for each of us to recognize that which is in our personal world, our strengths, our weaknesses, our avoda, what we need to do to be able to fulfill the Ratzon Hashem, to be able to make this world a better place with all of those relationships. But it begins with the Aleph. It begins with us. We need to know what is our chov, what is our responsibility, ba'olamo, in our world, to fully understand that and to fully appreciate that. And with that, we will be able to be Balei Achrayis, people who are responsible in the way in which the Torah meant us to be. Let us all be zocha to Kabbalas HaTorah appropriately.
There's a tremendous Yetzer Hara that follows a person in many different situations. Just to give an example, there's always those people, those unfortunates that gather outside a shul or by a chasana that are going around and are less fortunate than many of us that are guests by the chasana or by the shul. And this fellow who comes and is asking with his heart-wrenching story, he brings with him a giant, huge, invisible Yetzer Hara that tells us all sorts of different things, like this guy, he's probably doing better than me, or if I end up giving this guy, I'll have to give everybody in this hall or shul, or what, this guy can't get a job. All the different things that we either say to the person next to us or just to ourselves, consciously or unconsciously. But there's that Yetzer Hara, and it's really, I think there's a pasuk that addresses that big invisible monster that accompanies the poor unfortunate fellow that you're battling, having that struggle within whether you should or shouldn't. And the Torah says that when this unfortunate individual comes to you, we just read it on the last day on Achrayis Shel Pesach, Chutzniks read it on the Achrayis Shel Pesach, this fellow comes, the Torah addresses this fellow and says, you should open your hand and don't listen to those rationalizations that we have. And we are constantly battling to have these rationalizations pitted against the sense to do, the sense to rise to an occasion, be it big, be it small. I know of a certain individual, and it's just an example that I'm giving, but manifests itself in many different situations. I know of a certain Yid, a tremendous Baal Achrayis, an incredible Baal Chesed, a wonderful Yid in Klal Yisrael, a very famous, well-known person who I was told about him that by his son's chasana, he made sure, he's a very well-to-do individual, but he made sure before the chasana. And I can be rest assured that there's many of his meistus and projects and things that he's involved with. Before his own child's chasana, he made sure to go to the bank and take $100 or however much it was and change it to singles. So that every person that came, he knew would be coming and asking by his son's chasana, he'd be able to give something. Nothing too great, nothing too grand. But it was something that he felt was his responsibility. The Mishnah Nava says, "B'makom she'eino nashim mishtadel liyas ish," and there is so many opportunities for all of us. Anybody that's watching this video can apply that Mishnah Navas. There's nobody where there isn't some area or some makom where we're told makom she'eino nashim hishtadel liyas ish. Everybody has that opportunity, that ability, at a number of times, and many opportunities present themselves throughout your day. It's interesting, just parenthetically, that this individual, his son, once told me, Baruch Hashem, close to Shayim Shleimi, or not? Or all right, you'd suggest not? So I'll spare him the embarrassment. He once told me that I had a certain project that I do annually before Purim. I put on a certain production, and I was extremely hesitant to do it because I felt that it was no longer in my interest to do so. And he told me a tremendous lesson, and he said, you have an Achrayis, you have a certain role that you can bring, that you can give to people a certain hana, a certain benefit. Don't view it as something fun, do I like to do it or not. This is an opportunity for you. This is something that you have an ability to give to the people. You have a way to be Mahana Yidden, to be Mahana Achelach Klal Yisrael. Stick to it. View it as something, as a tremendous chus, as an opportunity that you have that no one else can fulfill. And we all have those opportunities. We all are presented with those abilities and with those moments where we can do something that no one else can. Let's try as best as we can to be attuned to those moments and those opportunities and not let them be passed up for someone else to do, but rather to take it upon ourselves to do what we can, to fulfill our role, to be a benefit to Klal Yisrael, and that ultimately will be a tremendous help to create a greater Klal Yisrael for the general Klal.
In the word Achrayis, you have all the responsibilities that we have in life hinted to in that very word. Achrayis begins with the letter Aleph. Aleph is the number one, the I. The responsibility you have to yourself. Every person has a mission in life, a mission that only the person himself can accomplish. In Ein Anili Mili. If I'm not for myself, nobody could fulfill my mission for me. That is the Aleph. Next, you add to the Aleph the next letter in Achrayis, Ches. Aleph Ches represents family, Och, brothers, all family relationships. Aleph Ches is also Rosh Tevis for Eishes Chayil. Rabbi Chaim Vital said, a person will be judged in the next world. His midas will be judged how he treated his spouse, meaning his family, because that's done behind closed doors. David HaMelech says, what's this lotion of how good and how pleasant? When I was young, they used to give a child a daily spoon of cod liver oil. It tasted nasty, it didn't taste nice. It was toiv, it was good, but it certainly wasn't noim, it wasn't pleasant. On the other hand, you have a buttery cheesecake drizzled with caramel. That's certainly noim pleasant, but it isn't toiv, not the calories, not the saturated fat. A relationship with the brother, says David HaMelech, is ma'atoiv u'ma'noim, is both good and pleasant. So after you have im ein ani limili, is next im ani la'atzmi. If my ani includes only myself, more ani I'm worthless. I have to expand the ani to include family. But even that is not enough. Aleph Ches, next comes the Reish Achrayis, Acher, to include every Yid in Klal Yisrael. Everybody is part of your family, not just family alone, but all Jews are our brothers. So Acher, we love every Jew. After the Reish, you add a Yud, Achrayis. The Yud come in a chain, a long chain, beginning with Avraham Avinu. Imagine walking through a library, and you see there a book with your family name on it. You wonder what it is. You take it down and look, and there's chapter after chapter, each one written in a different language, in a different handwriting. And you realize each chapter was written by one of your ancestors and passed on to the next generation. You look at the end of the book, and to your shock you see that it has your name on top. And you realize this chapter is for you to fill in. And if you don't fill in your chapter, all the previous chapters will be filled in vain. This has been going since Avraham Avinu, and you are part of that chain. After the Acharei, then you get a Vav, Acharov. That, what you received, that Torah you received, Acharov, it has to go on, pass it on to the next generation. After you pass on the torch to the next generation. And the next generation is going to imitate what you do in life. As we see, there's a story of somebody who calls the counselor, and he says, my son's towel is missing. Somebody stole his towel. You've got to find out who that gunner is. Can't parents raise their kids to be honest? So the counselor says, I'm really sorry. Let me look for it. How do I identify the towel? And the counselor says to him, it's easy to identify. You'll see it says on it, Hilton Hotel. We have to realize generations after us imitate what we do. And then after the Vav, you get the Sof, Achrayis. It begins with an Aleph, ends with a Sof. And that represents shleimus, perfection. A person shouldn't live his life with mediocrity, but should always look to grow, to improve. And therefore, in this word, Achrayis, we should look at where can I grow, what can I do? Take every letter in the word Achrayis and see what can I improve in every one of those points.
This week's topic is Achrayis, feeling an Achrayis for each other. And I want to touch on a small point. Sometimes Achrayis, we think of it as saving somebody in a very difficult situation, putting together a lot. But really there's parts of Achrayis that can be done by all of us on a regular basis. The Gemara in Bava Basra tells us that when Eov was suffering, many people came to console him, and the only ones who were able to console him were his friends. And the Gemara uses the language, Ay chavrusa, ay misusa. Eov says, what would I do without my friends who listen to me? And we understand that in a difficult time, it's good to be a listening friend. But the truth is, the word empathy, which is used in these situations, really means the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Not just a painful situation, but even a happy situation, or a regular situation. There's a similar Gemara that uses the same language of Ay chavrusa, ay misusa in Gemara in Teaneck. Chayni hamagal, the famous story of Chayni who fell asleep for 70 years and wakes up. He goes to the base medrash and nobody recognizes him. And of course, he was still recognized as a big Talmid Chacham. He got covered, the Maharsha points out. But he still said that I can't connect to this generation, and Ay chavrusa, ay misusa. We see from there that of course he could have sat in the base medrash, got chavrusas, but if he wouldn't be able to connect to that generation, he said, I'd rather not be alive. And we see this idea that Hashem created us with the need to connect with others, to share our hard times with others and share our happy times with others. Imagine somebody got engaged and they couldn't tell anybody. Imagine someone got a promotion at work and they're happy about it, but they couldn't tell anybody. It's not the same simcha. And sometimes Achrayis could be is just to be a listening ear, just to be someone who, when someone is going through a hard time, even when someone's having a good time, be genuinely happy for the other person. And that's what it means to be empathetic, to really share and understand the other person's moment that they're going through. We should be zeichet to be yidden who can listen and share in each other's simchas.